Alright, now before we start our project, we need to be defining our tasks, like what needs to be done first. And there's a simple online program, a task manager called Asana. It is a very simple, easy to use program. I've been using it for almost a decade now, and it has a lot of features and it is free and paid. What I usually do, it suits my purpose. I do not need the advanced features of it. So what we need to do is, create an account, and then, like very simple, we, just create a project, and I am going to click on this blank project, and I am going to give it a name, is on table. And there are boards and there are timelines, and you can see this is premium, and I usually do not need any of these. I just click on this list view and click on OK, and go to my project, and you can just simply click on this and write a task. Like I am going to write this setup preferences for Revit, and then another task setting up preferences for 3ds Max, and click on this, and you can see that this window just popped up, and you can just assign and have a due date, and I can assign it to myself, but for now I am going to just add a subtask, like setting up preferences for my Revit, and I will be needing a decent Revit template. So search a template from the web for the Revit, and this is a subtask in the preference, and in 3ds Max the subtask is going to be customizing the project folder, the default project. I do not like the directory structure that 3ds Max offers. What I usually like to do is change the directory structure to suit my own needs, what I have been using for quite a while now. And these are the two tasks that we want to be performing. We can set up the assignee and the due date. So when the task is done, you can just like click it, and it's done. So find a Revit template, and you can search the web, or you can download some basic templates from the Autodesk website. By the way, you can use default templates in Revit. Revit comes up with a lot of the default templates, but I think for over a few years I do not know where I have found this commercial default template, but now I have been used to this template, and I am going to set up the Revit from that template. So first thing, we have to go to option and set up our save interval reminder to 15 minutes. This is, I think, so set to 30 minutes. So we have to set up to 15 minutes, and then the discipline type, I think it is set to coordination. We need to set it to architecture, and then go into user interface, and I generally like to use this dark theme. Use hardware acceleration. Click on this use hardware acceleration as well. and I am going to locate the project template that I have been using for quite a while now, and I did put up these two commercial defaults and default ones in the template location, and I think I will upload I will be uploading this as well, and this should be on top, and in the rendering nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, and nothing here, and this is probably it. And I am going to click on OK, and then I am going to click on this file menu, new, and project, and this should be on top, and click on OK. And if I click on this wall section and click over here, yes, this is working, and we have some basic like door schedule and everything else here. South elevation, yes, we have level 1 and roof, that's it. And this is probably the Revit configuration that I want to be configuring. The next thing would be if we go to our tasks, there is this is done, and I am going to click on this mark yes now that it has been completed, and move to my we have set up our preferences for Revit, and we have loaded the template. And the next thing would be setting up the preferences for the 3ds Max and customizing the project folder. That would be another subtask. So to configure 3ds Max, we have to just go to customize and preferences, and the first thing in the preferences that I usually do is my set up my scene undo limit. I usually like to do this 100, and this is default precision decimal, and whenever I do modeling, I usually like to keep this off, enable carry controls, but for now I am going to just leave this on and turn it off when the time comes, and go into my files, and I usually increase my recent menu to 20 files and number of backups to 10, and backup interval to 5 minutes. I usually like to turn this off, but for now don't mess with the gamma. These are generally the preferences what I usually change, and I like to turn this on as well, use real world texture coordinates, and click on OK. So my preferences are set. The next thing I usually do is to configure the colors of 3ds Max. I go to customize user interface and go to colors, and then click on this gradient top and bottom color, and I usually like to keep this value at 85, top bottom both, and viewport background as well to 85. This gives me this neutral gray color, and then I usually just go to my grid setting and set up my intensity to 85. And if I just change this to anything else, I would not be able to see this big grid square pattern, and in this I would not be able to see these small boxes if I with the default 3ds Max color scheme that they give me. So the last thing that I do is I go to my 3ds Max location, and I first you have to copy this to maybe to my desktop, and I am going to call this test project, and I am going to paste it over here. And what I want to do is like change the default directory structure uh, to my own directory structure, and I am going to click this configure project path, and I am going to load and go to my desktop and test project and open this mxp maxscript file. Sorry, not to open this, and to open this mxp by double clicking on it and opening it in the notepad. So I usually like to change these directories to my own directory structure that over the years that I have been comfortable with. So I will be writing the directory name and maybe fast forwarding it. So why I have wrote the exact names, because I like to have these folder in capital letters. That's why I wrote the exact same thing. If I open up my project folder, you can see that I usually like to do this the folder structure in capital letters, so that's why I have used the capital letters over here, and I am going to replace these the default ones. Some of these folders like vpost, which stands for video post, this is I think so from 3ds Max 3 or 4. This is way too old. I don't know why they have still this in here. Now all we have to do is click on save, and this should be saved. And if we go back to 3ds Max and click on this file menu, project, and configure project, and we have to load this and to browse through to the location, and you can see that all of these have been loaded correctly. And maybe not this one, we forgot to change this, and click on save again and load over here and click on OK. Now if we set our project and create from current, and if we go to the desktop and click another folder and test 4, and if I move to this location and move to test 4, and you can see nothing is here, but as soon as I click on this select folder, you can see all of the folders have appeared in this place, and we still forgot to put the dot out. Click on the slash over here, save. Let me just delete all of these again and go into file menu, project, configure project, and load once again. Now everything is correct, and we have to go to project and create from current and click on OK. And if we like open up the Windows File Explorer, you can see that the archives are archives assets, and we have animations, photometric proxies, render assets, render presets, sim caches, our sounds and our textures, and sorry about that. And this is pretty much the default behavior that we will be using and going through our whole project. And now that we have configured our 3ds Max project, we need to go into our browser and click on this task, and the task is done. This is how I usually progress through my day and how I usually work. The next thing would be to go into Revit and start up the basic modeling process, and then when we model the basic like wall, put up a table and simple picture frame, and rough out the composition like setting up the camera in Revit as well, and then importing it back to 3ds Max, and use a script called image comp helper to place our camera and help ourselves with the composition.